And we are live. Today we are going to cover an iOS developer roadmap. Everything you need to know to become a professional iOS developer. So while we are waiting for others to join, just say hi in the comments, in the chat, not in the comments, in the chat, just say hi and where are you from? I'm really keen on looking where you are coming from. Just say hello, maybe just say hello in your native language. I would love to see that. I'm constantly going to take a look at the chat right over here, and also if you have any questions regarding the topic iOS development roadmap, what you need to know in order to become a professional developer, the iOS developer, just let me know in the comments and I will answer them. So this video, it's a live video, so it will be a little bit of an easier one. So we will just take it slow, and I will just have my 2 cents on the whole topic. And with my 11 plus years experience, I will be going through all of these topics, and there's more. There will be a link in the description where you will find this PDF, the iOS developer roadmap, if you do want to download it and take a look at it and just examine it. So why would you want this kind of roadmap? Well, I figured that many of my viewers are asking me that should they actually start iOS development, or they are starting to learn iOS development, they are already on the journey and they don't really know where to start or where to move forward. And this is why I created this PDF, the iOS developer roadmap, so you know what you actually need to go through to become a professional iOS developer. And as you can see, here we have the iOS developer roadmap. This is where you start, and the first step is XCODE. So yeah, you have to download XCODE from the App Store and just try to figure out what it is, how it works, and all of this stuff, because XCODE is the IDE to build out iOS apps, and that's where you code, that's where you add your Swift packages and all of that stuff. That's where you submit your app to the for review to the App Store. And hello there, welcome. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask them in the chat. Goober, welcome. And yeah, just let me know where, maybe let me know where are you in this road on the iOS as an iOS developer. Hello dear Agatha. Okay, so Xcode. You really need to know how to handle Xcode, but you will have Xcode open all the time as an iOS developer. So don't hurry with that. Don't fear. You just downloaded it and just open it up and you don't know what to do. There's a lot of stuff that you should and will learn about Xcode. So don't dread it. You will learn along the way. Now, the next step is Playgrounds. Playgrounds is a little bit like a playground where you just play around with code. Cupid says, I'm finishing the of 100 days of SwiftUI, and then I plan to dive into UIKIT. Yeah, that's great. So SwiftUI is a great way to start. And if you do want to get a corporate job, like somewhere where there's already an existing app, then most probably you will need to know also UIKit. So Cuba, that's really nice that you are going to dive into UIKit also. So yeah, but honestly, SwiftUI is the future, so you better learn SwiftUI also. And just so you know, UIKit is kind of different than SwiftUI, so be prepared that declarative programming is thrown out the window in UIKit. You really need to focus on object-oriented programming, but I will get that also. I'll get into that also with this roadmap. Okay. So with Playgrounds, you want to test out some of your fundamentals. You want to run some code, see how it's behaving. It's just playing around with some code. And yeah, basically that's Playgrounds. Playgrounds is not just, you are not going to launch an app with Playgrounds. You need Xcode for that. But that's a good thing to know, that you can mess around and play around with some code. Okay. So next up, the very next thing that I added right over here is version control. Now this is crucial. Don't even, as you can see, I just put it before language, and then choosing one language over the other, because version control is a must-have on any developer's plate. And you can see we have GitHub or Bitbucket. It doesn't really matter. GitHub is a little bit more well-known. Bitbucket is also great. I'm personally favoring GitHub because it has been here for a while. I've been using GitHub for, I don't know, day one, so-called. And then what you should know is how to manage your code's version. So let's say you don't really know what version control is, and you just save your code and then you just added something and you save it again. Well, that's not how it should be done. You should have version control set up. Go ahead and create a GitHub account or a Bitbucket account and connect that to XCODE, because yeah, XCODE has support for this. You can just connect your account with that, and then you can create your repositories, remote repositories on your GitHub or Bitbucket account. Yeah, so version control is really important, so you don't accidentally delete your code or lose your code. Maybe your Mac will go on fire and then you will have no version of your code. So yeah, that's bad news for you then. Okay, so then comes up language. So you have to kind of choose between these two. Either you choose Objective-C, which is kind of an old way of doing things. But again, if you are going to maybe go for a company that has kind of these old apps, and you do know that they do use Objective-C, then yeah, go ahead and learn Objective-C. That's really object-oriented programming. It's all about that. Or you could just try Swift, which I personally recommend. And that's kind of the newer language that Apple is pushing for us for. And yeah, what you have to know about Swift is you can also use combine with that. So it is protocol-oriented programming, not object-oriented programming. And they just introduced async await, which I personally love. So it's really nice to have that. And while in UIKIT, Objective-C, while in UIKIT, let's just call it UIKIT, we just use MVC, Model View Controller Design Pattern. Swift is kind of like MVVM pattern, so it prefers MVVM, Model View Model the Design Pattern. Okay, so yeah, that's it. So Swift is much more modern. Objective-C is kind of a long-standing language that Apple uses. And they highly encourage you to use Swift. Okay, so let's talk about foundations. So first of all, as an iOS developer, you need to be aware of and you need to really know the human interface guidelines. So just search Google for that. It's on the Apple developers site, just human interface guidelines. What's acceptable in an iOS app, what the buttons should do, all of that. So for example, the minimum width and height of a button so it can be tappable should be 44 by 40.4 points. So all of this stuff, you need to know how iOS apps behave. So if you're coming from, let's say, an Android or a web development background, you will have to learn quite a lot. So there are many rules for these. Okay, and then comes iOS specific technologies like the touch. So yeah, this is mobile, so you want to know touch. If you are coming from web, then you do need to know what touches are, how to handle them, how the user expects touches should be handled. And then app architecture, so what is MVVM, MVC, Viper, all of that stuff. How do we save some data, how we retrieve, how do we connect to servers and all of that stuff, and then the app life cycle. So yeah, those are really easy to find. It's just one Google away, but they are really important to know. So when the view did load, view will appear if you are coming from UIKit, or all of that stuff are also in SWIFTUI. So on appear, on disappear, the main file, all of that stuff is about app lifecycle, and you really need to know about that. So when the app goes into background, when it is active/inactive, and all of that stuff. Okay. Next up is the cookie design patterns. So you need to know what a singleton is. Basically, I won't go into explaining singletons, but they are kind of like really easy to use, but you can cut yourself easily. So it's kind of really, you have to take care of your singletons. That's what I say. And then what is MVC? What are delegates? And yeah, basically all of this is the foundations for an iOS app. And there's also networking, because yeah, in modern days you don't have an app basically without networking. So you have to get accustomed to the RESTful APIs, maybe learn how LMOfire works. That's a GitHub repository that yeah, many iOS developers use for networking. Yeah, just to get your feet wet with networking. Now, next up, let's just scroll all the way down, and here we have it. We have UI. Finally, we got to UI. So maybe if you're a designer and you are starting off with iOS development, this is where you think you should start. Maybe UIKit or SWIFTUI, but no. Make sure that you get your foundations and all of that stuff that I've been talking about ready till you get to the UI. As you can see, you can go either right or left. It's either UIKit or SWIFTUI. Again, if you are going to work on an app that is built in UIKit and there's no sight of switching to SWIFTUI, then yeah, go ahead and learn UIKit. Anyway, you do kind of need to learn UIKit alongside SWIFTUI if you choose SWIFTUI to be your main language, main framework, UI framework, because not many, but quite a lot of interesting or kind of niche things are still not in SWIFTUI, but of course they are inside UIKit. So you need to import those into SWIFTUI with UI view controller representable or a UI view representable. So it's really great to kind of at least know a few things about UIKit, even if you are a SWIFTUI developer. So in UIKit, you will learn about UI views, UI view controllers, delegates, notifications, Grand Central dispatch. So yeah, how we handle that data, all of that stuff. And then you really need to know what inheritance is. And on the UI part, how to handle auto layout. You might be tempted to use storyboards, but please don't use storyboards. Learn how to lay out your views, your UI views, or view controllers set up in code. So yeah, that's where auto layout has a really huge advantage. And pay attention and do learn UI stack views. So those are really powerful. Nazif says, do you think Swift will be a language of AR, VR applications for Apple VR glasses? So yeah, Apple VR glasses are still to come, so we don't have them yet, but Swift will definitely be the language for AR, VR. It is already. So Swift is the way to go with Apple, and it just depended, or Unity. Yeah, so Swift or Unity. Well, most probably you will be able to build out these AR/VR experiences in Unity, but the native way of doing it will be in Swift, and most probably with ARKit or maybe VRKit if they just do something like that, or SceneKit. Maybe a little bit of SpriteKit is also good for you, and of course SwiftUI. So most probably you will need to know SwiftUI and ARKit for that. because I don't think that Apple will launch VR glasses, basically, so virtual reality glasses. Most probably they are going to move on the AR scope, so augmented reality, that kind of binds with your surroundings, not just having kind of this bulky huge glass in front of you and everything is virtual. Okay, so let's move forward with SWIFTUI. So there's UIKit, kind of the good old UIKit. And kind of like 3 years ago, SWIFTUI came up. It was really, really great. I haven't moved, like I haven't written UIKit code in about like one and a half years. So I'm all into SWIFTUI. Of course, I do code for mostly startups and individuals, hobbyists. So that's why SWIFTUI is really, really convenient, and it's really, really easy to build apps with that. But again, if you need UIKit for your job, then you do need to learn UIKit. Of course, I do appreciate my knowledge in UIKit because some things in SWIFTUI are still missing. For example, the UI image picker controller. So yeah, or the media picker controller, which I created a media picker, which I did a YouTube video. I believe it was last week. Yeah, it's on the website at store.rebeloper.com. Go ahead and check it out. It's really, really nice. You can pick any type of media from your phone. So that's really, really nice. So yeah, coming back to SWIFTUI. Yeah, you have here UI view controller. Now you have views, only views. Everything is a view in SWIFTUI, as they say. And yeah, I do like the name SWIFTUI because yeah, it's kind of okay because it's UIKit and then SWIFTUI. But you really need to be aware of that in SWIFTUI, actually the data is king. So you have to really know data management because data is driving the UI. So you really need to learn how data flows because this is a reactive programming framework. Yeah, you do need to know how to handle the data. So in turn, the view, the UI will react to that data change. And then you have to know what protocols are. And it's not inheritance, it's just protocols. And if you have auto layout in UIKit, you have kind of this canvas, or let's just say it, really nicely created code UI, like you have your Z stacks, V stacks, horizontal stacks, all of that, buttons, all of that. It's much, much easier to build out UI. And then you have the canvas, of course. Honestly, I don't really use the canvas as much. I like to see the UI inside the code, but maybe that's just because I'm experienced in building out a UI in code, but basically that should be your aim. So yeah, canvas is okay. It's like, for me, it's like storyboards on steroids, and of course much, much better. It's updating automatically, like it has live updates and all of that. But yeah, I usually just build out UI in code, also in SWIFTUI. By the way, in UIKit, I did again UI layout also only in code. No storyboards for me. If you just scroll back to the very first YouTube video that I posted, it was that no storyboards. So I just quit storyboards then and haven't looked back since. Okay, let's move forward. And the next thing is persistence. So yeah, you do have to persist your data at some point or another. And the coolest way, and maybe the hardest to learn, so it does have a steep learning curve, it's core data. So core data is like SWIFTUI or maybe CloudKit or whatever. It's Apple approved framework, so they do give this to you, and you can just use local persistence for that. Yes, there is a steeper learning curve, but with SwiftUI, it's really easy. So I do have some YouTube videos there, so just search for the channel for those. It's really much easier than it was in UIKIT or even a year ago with SwiftUI. So using core data is now much easier. So yeah, that's just local persistence, and you can also serialize. So you can have user defaults. Those are, again, user defaults. It's like some user defaults, but it's just a plist file. So it can be really easily cracked if needed. So yeah, please don't put any passwords or users or emails into user defaults, like you would just save them. Also, user defaults will be deleted if you delete the app from your device also. So yeah, that's something to consider also. Next up is keychain. So keychain is a safe environment for storing these small chunks of data. It's not like core data there. You can just do a lot of large and complex data handling. In keychain, just small but safe data. Also, keychain can be connected to iCloud through iCloud keychain, so that's really nice. So if you have something set up in this device on keychain and the app has iCloud keychain enabled, where on the other device, if the same Apple this user is signed in, they will have that available. So that's really great. Okay, Coop is asking, I heard a rumor that Apple will announce something like Swift data. Since using core data in SwiftUI is still kind of nightmare. Yeah, it is kind of nightmare till you get the hang of it. I haven't heard anything like Swift data. Hopefully they will, because if they will most probably get the nightmare out of core data. Yeah, hopefully they will. Dreaming 7 says, I hate that nobody uses core data. Yeah, honestly, I didn't use core data for a few years when I started iOS development, because I too found it really hard to use, and the learning curve was really steep back then. Now it's a little bit easier, but still, they do have their concepts. It's not that easy to use core data, but once you get a hang of it, like I do right now, you will actually love core data. So it's once you know how to use it, it's really snappy and it's really great to use. I did hate core data. Now I do like core data. I don't love it, but I like core data. Okay. So yeah, there's also plist files, so you can just have or create your own plist files inside your application. Usually plist files are for read only. Of course, you can just create and write to a plist file in memory, but yeah, those are just kind of small chunks of really niched use cases. And of course there's JSON. Who doesn't know JSON? If you do want to, basically all the internet is data is through the JSON. Okay, and then there's, so yeah, this is like local persistence, and there's cloud persistence. There's iCloud / Firebase. Now I have been a Firebase advocate for, I don't know, maybe 5 years, 6 years, kind of like that. I really love Firebase. It has such a lot of good stuff going on. So authentication, storage, Firestore, like the NoSQL database, and then there's functions that you can add in also to your project. It's it's not really cross-platform, so you can just get access to your data, let's say on Android or web. And also there are a lot of other, not that small, but other types. It's not just database. So you have Crashlytics there, you have performance, you have let's say, what else do we have over there? So you can have, yeah, so you can A/B test. So there's a lot in Firebase. So it's not just a cloud database like iCloud is. So I really like Firebase. If I could, at any point, I would prefer Firebase, using Firebase over iCloud. On the other hand, iCloud is Apple's database, so a cloud database option. And this pause is intended because it's quite hard, again, like with core data, it's quite hard to grasp it, quite hard to work with it. It's really kind of interesting to work with it, and sometimes it's not behaving as we expect it to behave. And now, of course, core data and iCloud, they can be kind of coupled together, but and it works in 90% of the use cases. Still, it's not complete. For example, if you do want to have shared data on private databases with iCloud, you cannot use core data with that. It doesn't support it just yet. So, yeah, so most probably they are working on it. And if Swift data is coming, that would be really, really awesome. So I don't know what will be inside Swift data. I don't know. I just heard it a few minutes ago, but yeah, maybe there will be something for persistence that is, and SWIFTUI, that is better than core data and iCloud. Okay, so let's move forward. So now that you know some language and you know how to persist your data, then comes some interesting parts about your project. So you will need to know how your build configs, what is a target, what is a scheme, how to add Swift packages. So yeah, maybe for example with Firebase, you do have to download their Swift package and just add them to your target as a Swift package with Swift Package Manager. So all of this are kind of like XCODE related, but still you have to know all of this. So it's not just specifically XCODE, it's all about your project and project management. And finally, we are getting close to the end. We want to build, so maybe you want to add analytics, that's Crashlytics from Firebase, test flight from Apple. So yeah, you have to set all of this up. You have to really know how to work with App Store Connect, for example, for test flights. So yeah, so you do want to build your app and make it better. That's why I'm calling it a build, because it's not just like you just write it once and then just it. You want to have analytics in it, find and kill some bugs, smash those bugs, and improve it. So that's why we have versions. You just want to iterate through those and just make your app better and better. And of course, kind of the last step for you to know is App Store Connect. So you gotta get accustomed to the developer portal and App Store Connect. So they are kind of two kind of separate things, it looks like, but no, they are kind of the same thing. You do have to know App Store Connect. You do need to know the review guidelines and how to create metadata like screenshots, icons, descriptions, how to create in-app purchases on App Store Connect, all of that stuff. So there's a bunch you have to learn about App Store Connect. But yeah, that's and that is outside of coding. So that's only on the site of App Store Connect. Because actually what you want to do as an iOS developer, even if you don't have a job or you're trying to apply to a job, you want to create an app and put it on the App Store. So you will have a lot more to show for your employer or where you are trying to get hired. A lot more to show if you do have already an app on the App Store. So they do know, okay, you went through all of these steps you just made, and somebody on the review team from the App Store review team reviewed your code and approved it and put it on the App Store to be alive. So make sure that you submit at least 1 or 2 apps to the App Store, so you have your portfolio. Basically, your portfolio should be on the App Store, so you should have an App Store portfolio. And of course, for smaller projects, you should have a GitHub portfolio for the code part, so you can just show it off. And also, if you are looking for a GitHub kind of portfolio of what you want to build, you want to make sure that you check out this video right over here.